we carried out this long division of these two polynomials in an earlier video. Now, what we want to do is look at synthetic division. So that is synthetic division of these two polynomials. Synthetic, all right? Synthetic division. Now, let us see if we can develop some argument around this synthetic division from what we did in the long division, all right? What we have here are the coefficients of x, the powers of x, I mean, and we have the coefficients. Now, suppose we have just the coefficients alone. So we have 1x cubed. So these represent the x cubed. Then we have x squared. These are coefficients of x cubed, x squared, x to the 1, x to the 0. But x to the 0 would be constants. So we have 1. Let's write the coefficients under them. 1, we have 2x squared, so that's 2 here. We have negative 1x, negative 1, and the constant is 1. All right. Now, let's look back at what we did in dividing x into x cubed goes x squared times this. All right. Times this. X squared times 3x squared, and then we subtracted these two. And we got negative 1. Now the negative 1 x squared, when we divided, how did we get the x squared and the negative x? What we did was to divide the 1x into x cubed to get 1x squared. Right? And then we multiply the 1x squared by the x plus 3. But we notice the x cubed part disappeared. And what we got was for the negative x squared was 2 minus 3. Let me see something here. Since we keep multiplying the coefficient or the x squared or the x or the 2 by 3, and that part doesn't disappear when we subtract, let's write 3 here. We multiplied, first of all, the coefficient of x cubed was 1, the coefficient of x squared was 1. Let's bring down 1 here. So we bring down 1. Because what we want to do in the synthetic division is to simplify everything and just avoid a lot of the steps that we took in the long division. We had 1 times 3. 1x squared times 3 give you this 3. So if we multiply this 3 by 1, we'll get 3. And then this 3 that we got went under the 2. Alright, this 2 is this. This 3, suppose we multiply 3 by 1, we get 3. Just like how the coefficient of x squared multiplied by 3, we get this. And then we subtract and say 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Oh. And what we see is that this one is what multiply x squared And this negative 1 is what multiply x. Then here now, how did we get this 2? We got it from, what was it? When we said negative x times x, we got negative x squared. Negative x times 3, negative 3x. Then we subtracted negative 1x from negative 3x. Alright, this negative 1 is the same negative 1 here. When we bring down the x, we get negative 1x. And how would we get a negative 3x? Was to say the negative 1 times x times 3 give you negative 3x. So here now, the negative 1, this is a negative 1 times x. So if we multiply negative 1 by 3, we will get negative 3. So you see the negative 1 lines up with the negative. This is negative 1x, and this is negative 1x. Let me write the negative 1 there. Alright, you see, temporarily I put the negative 1 there. Alright, then the negative 3 is x. This is still a negative 3x. Suppose we subtract. Get negative 1 minus negative 3, give a positive 2. So we have a 2 here. Now this 2 is a constant, so it is this x here was x to the 2, this x here was x to the 1, this x is x to the 0. So this is suggesting that we have 1x squared so far. We have a negative 1x. And we have 2x to the 0, which is positive 2. Alright. But we don't seem to be finished. What did we do after? When we subtracted here, negative x minus negative 3x, we got negative 2x. Then we brought down this 1. We brought down the 1. And this was this 1 x to the 0, the constant 1. Then we said the 2 times x would be 2x plus 2, 3, 6. Then we said 1 minus 6 is negative 5. So we multiply the 2 by the 3 here. This 3 that you're seeing here is the same 3 here. And this 2 is this same 2. And 2 was multiplied by 3. So let's multiply this 2 by 3. 3 by 2 gives you 6. Oh, the 6 came under this one. This one is the constant, same constant 1 is the same one, you know. So when we multiply 3 by 2, we have 6, and the 6 came under the 1, and then we subtracted and say 1 minus 6 give you negative 5. So 1 minus 6 is negative 5. So the remainder is negative 5. All right. So therefore, what we have here is another way to divide it without much of the writings. All right. What you have here is just a pattern. The long division explains everything so that somebody who has never done it before would be able to study the long division and learn it. This over here, which we call synthetic division, it doesn't really explain or show the step. Somebody looking at it and not having done it yet would be confused and wondering what's happening, all of these numbers. Now, if you look online or in textbooks for synthetic division and how to perform the synthetic division, it would be a little different from what I did here. They would not show the powers of x. You would have to remember what powers of x they are. So let's subtract these, or let's take out these powers of x. I indicated that this is the answer and these are the powers of x. They would not show these. You'd have to remember The other difference is this. What they do is generally is not subtract these. What they do was to say x plus 3. The number that you write here is not 3. If you say x plus 3 equals 0, and you want to find out what x is, you would say x equals negative 3. So the number that I wrote is negative 3. So when you do your multiplication, that would change the sign of everything. Now, let's erase what I have here and redo it the way that you will see it done in other videos or on websites or in the textbooks. So let's go. You have a negative 3. You bring down the 1 first. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, and you write the negative 3 here. Now, since we have a negative and the signs change, instead of subtracting, we're going to add. Right? And we say 2 plus negative 3, same as 2 minus 3, is negative 1. And then multiply 3 times negative 1, give you a positive 3. Then you add now, because remember, signs are reversed. It was a positive 3 used, now it's a negative 3. So instead of subtracting, you add negative 1 plus 3 gives you a 2. You say negative 3 by 2, so it's negative 3 by 2 is 6. Negative 6, negative 3 by 2, negative 6. And then you add 1 plus negative 6 is negative 5. And then you have to remember now that these come in place. These are lined up with x squared, so it's 1x squared, negative 1x, 2 constant, and the last number here is the remainder. All right, so another look at it. Generally, when you're doing synthetic division, what they want you to do is this. When you divide by the other polynomial, the dividend, you equate it to 0 and find out what x is. And in this case, x will be negative 3. So it's a matter of bringing down the first coefficient, then multiplying and adding. Oh, I didn't. Get rid of these. We're starting afresh. Alright, so in this case, bring down the 1. You multiply 3 by 1. 3 by 1 is negative 3 by 1, negative 3. Negative 3, put here. Then you add. Right? You keep adding. You don't subtract, now you add. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. 3 times negative 1. Negative 3 by negative 1 give you positive 3. Add negative 3 plus 3 gives you negative 1 plus 3, negative 1 plus 3 gives you positive 2. 3 times negative 3 times positive 2 is negative 6. You add 1 plus negative 6, negative 5. That's that. So remember, all of these are multiplications. And then you add here. So that's that. And you remember that's the coefficient. These are coefficient of x cubed. So this is x squared. When you divide, you have 1 less. The degree becomes 1 less. So it's 1 x squared, negative 1 x, 2 constant, last number is remainder. All right, so That's synthetic division. So what we did was to just discuss the development of the synthetic division and then adjust it to fit the popular way of doing synthetic division. Alright, so we will continue looking at division of polynomials in other videos. So I will see you in the next video.